Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to walk through exactly how I am managing our money, specifically which system me and my family are using as a way to basically know exactly where each dollar is going, how we are assigning um, a job for every bit of money and cents that we bring in. So without further ado, let's just get right on into it. So I am using the financial order of operations. It's by the Money Guy show, and they do also have a uh, platform on YouTube. I'll be sure to um, leave a link in the description. And this is more so much so if you want to go and do your own due diligence to learn more about this system. Um, Brian and Bo, like I said, they have their own YouTube um, channel. They have a lot of videos. There's a book, even when you go to the website. There are courses that you can take that dive into this even more. But for me and my family, this is what we're using. Um, but obviously, we have tweaked it. And so, one of the things I would say is that when you're trying to use something and you're really, trying to tailor it for your family, if you want to stick to it, then I think that ultimately you have to do what's going to work, best for you and your family. And so, in particular, as an example, step number one is about basically having your deductibles covered. Now, these would be deductibles like if you have a car, then you would obviously have to have car insurance. And so maybe there's a deductible for that, or if you have health insurance, et cetera. Like I said, you can go on the website, you can go to the YouTube channel and really get a deep dive into it. But in particular, for me, we do have cars, so obviously we have a deductible for that. Um, we have health insurance, and in particular, the health insurance that I chose for my family is the high deductible health plan. And so, with this step one, basically you work through all the different deductibles that, in case something was to happen, you list what all of those deductibles would be, and then actually, according to Brian and Bo, you first only fund for step number one, you just fund whatever the highest deductible is. So you don't have to add everything together, right? So just as I shared earlier, I am on a uh, high deductible health plan. And so, with me covering my family, that means that our deductible, should we need to cover medical expenses for the family, we have an out of pocket maximum of $10,000 and $10,050. Now, again, what you do is what you do according to what works best for your family. But in our case, we chose to go the HDHP route. And so I said, okay. So last year, one of the things that I made sure I was doing when I had budgeted last year was that by time we were going to go into 2025, because we actually just started our high deductible health plan in 2025. So that meant that for 2024, my whole thing was okay, I wanted that by the end of the year, I would have just over $10,000 to specifically cover this deductible, because our intent was to pay out of pocket for our health expenses, because having a high deductible health plan, it also allows us to have a health savings account. And there's different ways that you can use the health savings account. We can get into that a little bit later because that's a later step. But ultimately, what we decided, if you have watched my videos from earlier this year where I go over my budget, I specifically tell you, and even with my cash stuff and right, you see that I'm not using my health savings account as a pass through. I'm actually covering any health expenses through this deductible that I had saved up from last year. And then later on, we're going to, fully leverage the full tax benefits of a health savings account. So, anyhow, started out in step number one. So by 2025, boom, that was done. And then moved on to getting the employer match. So I do work for an employer that offers 401k. I participate in the 401k. My particular employer, if you can contribute up to 8%, and if you contribute up to 8%, then the company will match your contribution 50%. So you can, again, you can contribute 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8% of your pay, and then basically the employer is going to match 50% of what you do up to that 8%. So that just automatically comes out of my account. And again, based on my earlier uh, budget videos, you know that initially I had started out contributing to the traditional 401k, and then I actually swapped over. And so now all of my contributions actually go into my Roth 401k. So for item number three, we don't have any high interest debt from the standpoint of um, credit cards or anything like that. We don't have any personal loans. We don't have any. We do have a credit card, but we do not keep a balance on our credit card. Uh, we use again, I've got cash stuffing videos. So we do use our card for stuff like groceries. We use our card for when it's time to put gas in our cars and stuff like that. But again, literally, when we swipe our card, then I go into the checking account and I will go ahead and send money to pay off the credit card right away. So we have not had to pay zilch in interest for the credit card. Now, something that Brian and Bo do talk about, depending on your age and how close you may be to retirement, if you do have student loans, one thing, if you still have student loan debt, then one thing that they do provide some general guidance on is what might be considered high interest debt for your student loans, depending on what your age is. And so, initially, we were looking at doing like a debt snowball for the my student loan. The issue though is so when I went to pay, I had sent some extra quote unquote snowball money to my student loan. But then like the Aid Vantage at first, it did let me like online pick what loan I wanted that quote unquote extra money above the normal monthly payment to go to. So it did let me do it one time, but then ever since, when I went to do it a second time, it wouldn't let me do it anymore. So I don't know if because if they've got something going on with their website or what, but I'm like, okay, so clearly I'm going to have to work with AidVantage to figure out what's going on because actually my preference would be to go ahead and be a bit more focused on that student loan debt just to go ahead and get rid of it. But technically, per the guidance, it's not, because obviously I'm on a payment plan, so I could just continue to do my payment plan, and of course I would end up paying more than actually what the initial loan was that I took out. But again, that's just a little caveat on the student loans. So I'm not sure how long it's going to take me to figure out with Aid Vantage, who is my service provider, what the heck is going on. But in the meanwhile, I said, okay, well, that's something that I can't control, but at least, I know that there is an issue that needs to be handled, right? Because I don't just want to be sending extra money that's automatically just only going to go to like interest or whatever. So I said, okay, well, technically, I don't have any high interest consumer debt, so um, step number three doesn't apply to our family. And so, therefore, step number four was the emergency reserves. Now, we literally just got finished fully funding our emergency reserves. So that took us from January of this year until April. Um, in one of my previous videos about the first bonus that I received from my company after working for a year, the majority of that bonus was applied to funding step 4, and then it also just so happened that surprisingly, we got a refund for our taxes. So, with the money from my bonus and then the money from the tax refund, that was enough to fully fund our 3-month emergency reserves. So, that was, very great. So then that meant that I had to go back to my budget, to my Excel sheet, and kind of rebudget stuff because now the emergency reserves was done, which would then put us into now currently where we are, which is step 5. So again, as you can see, now, technically, let me go back. So, technically, how Brian and Bo talk about step number 1 and step number 4. So, step number 1, again, it's just supposed to be initially saving up the highest deductible that you have. And then when you move to the emergency reserves, of course, they have guidance for you to consider on whether or not a 3-month or a 6-month emergency fund. Or depending on whatever your circumstances is, you might even need more than 6 months. But anyhow, they do try to, provide you with some guidance, stuff for you to consider to figure out what's going to work best for your family. But when they talk about it, they do actually say, hey, whatever is in your item number 1, since the whole purpose of it is to kind of try to prevent you from like immediately falling into a ditch when, not if, but when something does happen that you weren't planning on. Technically, when you get to step number 4, you can actually include whatever money you've saved up from your deductibles covered in item number 1. That can form a portion of your step number 4 emergency reserves. Now, as I discussed earlier, though, technically for me and my family, um, because we have a high deductible health plan, and so we know that, hey, for our medical expenses, we're paying out of pocket. We've chosen to do that. We've chosen to pay out of pocket so that the money that we send to the health savings account, so that it can grow both the contribution as well as the gains, because I am investing uh, money into the stock market that's in the health savings account. And so, because of that, for me personally, I did not, once we got to step 4, I did not include anything from step number 1 at all, because in my mind, I said, okay, hey, if we have the medical expenses that we reach our deductible, well then that 10,000 is going to be gone, but that's quite frankly that was what it was for, and stuff. And so step number 1 for me is different from a standpoint of I am keeping both of these separate. And so you'll see, right? So here's my step 1 account. I'm using Capital One. So this is specifically for our medical. And as you can see, we've actually had quite a bit of medical expenses this year. So we're already, lower in that account. But again, for the whole year, once you get to your deductible, then the insurance would, 100% cover it. Um, so that's where I stand for the medical. And then you see separately for food step 4, the emergency reserves. I rounded this up, and for our 3 months emergency fund, that is $13,000. And so this has nothing to do with that. As we do medical stuff, we will pull from this account. And again, as you see, uh, again, I do use, a credit card because I do like to get rewards and benefits. But again, whenever we do swipe, like actually, I had a medical bill from like seeing my doctor that was like 20 bucks, right? So I already swiped the card, and then I'll come in here and I'll move whatever the $20 was, I'll move it to cover that. Um, So yeah, and I just do that every so often. But again, ultimately, I'm not giving Capital One any credit card interest here. So that's how that works out. Um, and so we find ourselves towards the end of April actually in step five, um, only because of the issue that clearly I'm going to have a bunch of conversations or something with, Aid Vantage to figure out what the heck is going on with their system that it's not allowing me to do what I should be able to do, even according to their own directions. So, this isn't a case of I'm just running amok. Like, no, I went on their website. I'm doing exactly what they say I'm supposed to be allowed to do, but the website isn't letting me do it. So, because of that, I said, okay, well, instead of the um, quote unquote snowball that would have been going towards the student loans, if I was in a position where we could hyper focus on the student loans, well, instead, then, I'm going to go ahead and fund the Roth account. And then again, so step five is if you're eligible to do a Roth IRA, you can do it both the normal way or the backdoor way. And then also the health savings account. That's what HSA stands for. So again, because I have a high deductible health plan, I also have a health savings account. And so my health savings account is funded with pre-tax dollars automatically from my payroll. And then separately, obviously, my Roth, um, I contribute. So there's a $7,000 limit for the 2025. And again, this is the Roth IRA, which is a Roth individual retirement account. So this Roth individual retirement account is totally separate from my Roth 401k account. Totally separate limits. Um, but yeah, so I'm about, I don't know, maybe about, that looks like about 25% funded. But because of where I am with, okay, since we got the tax refund, then now the emergency reserves is fully funded. Well, now the money, like I said, that would have been the snowball. Um, I'm sending that, to the Roth IRA to to fund. And so, along with the Roth individual retirement account, since step five also includes the health savings account, well, I am with United Healthcare, and in my case, United Healthcare uses Optum Bank. And so, Optum Bank, their rule is that once you have $2,000 in your health savings account, if you want to, it's not a requirement, but if you want to, you are actually allowed to invest anything your invest whatever funds you have in your account that's above 2000. They do require you to keep at least 2000 in cash. And so you can see that basically that took me from January until like the first paycheck in August. I mean, sorry, the first paycheck in April. That was the time where I had finally gotten to the 2000 threshold where I was like a little bit above it. And so, um, as you can see, my first paycheck, when I got paid in April, I did go ahead and I had purchased. I chose to invest in the Vanguard total stock market. So this is a mutual fund. So I chose to invest in that. And so now we have gotten paid a second time in in April. And so you can see that it says my cash balance is 2330 with 74 cents. So I can actually come in right now and do a transfer where I can do a transfer. Um, where I want to do the HSA. So this is taking money out of the cash balance of the health savings account and moving it to my investments. So HSA again to the Optum. Yep, that's what I want to do. And so in this case, it's asking me, okay, how much do you want to do? So I want to see if it's actually going to let me do the whole amount, use my current elections. Oh, wait, so I have 330.74. So see, it says available to transfer 330.74. So then my transfer summary. And yeah, so it looks like my one-time purchase, I'll be able to send the extra 330.74 over to the Vanguard total stock market index. And so bam. So now my transfer has been initiated. And so, yeah, so from the HSA standpoint, just like the Roth, now the HSA, um, because this is set up through my employer, my employer contributions come straight to my paychecks. That means that technically the contribution that I'm allowed as a family is 8,500 for the year of 2025. So I'm going to be contributing what I contribute all the way until December. So, yes, I've decided to take the extra step for me to go in every paycheck and to actually do this transfer of funds. Because I notice when I set up the auto transfer, it only does it like in $100 increments. So as you saw before, I had 300, but I also had like $33 and like 74 cents. So I want to be able to invest that money as soon as I can versus if I just was to leave it on auto transfer, then it would have only like invested $300 and then it would have kept the $33 in there until that got to 100. I ain't got time for all of that. So so yeah, so that's basically that. And then similarly with the Roth, because I do my budget for biweekly, then I already know exactly what paycheck is going to um, max me out at that 7,000 for the Roth, and I hope by then um, whatever the issue is with Aid Vantage will be resolved such that if it is, then I will actually go quote unquote back. I will go back to step three because personally, I would consider that as okay, I am now going to be hyper focused on getting rid of my student loan debt. Um, and so I would, once the Roth is fully funded, then I would say, okay, I would go back and do the snowball like I had planned. Now, if for some reason Aid Vantage is still acting crazy, then I would just continue to move on in these steps. And as you can see, with the financial order of operations, there are nine, particular steps. But again, in my case, for where I am, I'm currently at step five. But again, I am prepared that there's a chance that I might eventually move to step six, where I would be trying to max out my retirement 401k, or again, because of where I am and because of just where I would personally prefer to be, which would be debt free from student loans, I have absolutely no issues, quote unquote, going back to step three. Because again, I think ultimately, with these various money management systems, it is good to have some structure so that it does help you see exactly where you are assigning your dollars to. But again, you don't just want to follow something blindly just for the sake of following it. And so that, my friends, is specifically how I am managing money and the money management system that I am choosing to use. I hope that you find this video helpful as you discover for yourself how to best manage your money. And we'll see you in the next video.